It's time for the BAQA. Hey, the BAQA. What you say? The BAQA. Manday, the BAQA. Tiffany, the BAQA. Hey. So we're doing BAQA today. Sans Mandy, because she got this cold or whatever. But that's okay because I'm here. And we have someone in studio. But remember, Brown Ambition Question and Answer is all about you have questions, we have some answers, but we are not your attorney. We're not your mama. We're not your financial advisor. And so if you'd like to be on the BAQA, two ways. If you'd like to actually be in studio, digitally, of course, you can go to Brown Ambition Podcast on our Instagram, leave us a voice note, or you can always go to brownambitionpodcast.com and write us a message, okay? So in studio, we have Miyokee Saint Florent, right? You're one of my mentees, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, she's over there at mymentortiffany.com. You're missing out if you're not over there. And so as a special treat, I specifically reached out to my mentees to come ask some business questions. So first, Miyokee, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here today.
Okay, so my name is Miyokee Saint Florent. I am a Jersey native.
Okay.
I live in what I like to call the Tri-City area, Newark, Irvington, and East Orange.
I didn't know
That's
that.
my home. That's my home. That's my stomping ground where I was born and raised.
Okay.
I have spent the past 5+ years of my career working with youth in our area. I've done work in some charter school systems, as well as for the TRIO Upward Bound program that was in existence at Seton Hall University. Okay. I am a 2-time graduate of Seton Hall University with my bachelor's and my master's.
That's why I got my master's.
Yes. I got my master's in public administration. And I'm currently in the space of being unemployed, but very inspired, right?
I love it.
And having that time to kind of slow down, reset myself, refocus. I came up with a business plan, and the name of my business is Focus.
Okay.
Foundation for Our Community's Undeniable Success. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm in the space of really trying to get clarity on which way to go when doing a startup, particularly whether I should go the LLC side or the 501c3 side. Okay. So the pros and cons of both.
Okay. First of all, I did not know, girl, that you was an Essex County girl like myself. Okay. Because y'all know I live
I'm
in
right
Newark.
here, right next to you.
Right? I see.
And it's
I'm in Newark.
funny, Tiff. I actually was at the breakfast that was held by the superintendent last month in Newark.
When I was there,
and you were there.
Yes.
But I didn't get to see you because I had to run out really early. So this moment right here is full circle for me. I didn't get to see you in that moment, but I'm having this one-on-one dialogue with you right now.
Awesome.
So I'm loving it.
Yes.
I'm loving it.
The superintendent, he's also like a neighbor of mine as well as the assistant superintendent. Shout out to you, Roger and Maria. But no, this is really full circle and this is awesome. So yes, I love to see a fellow Jersey native. And also too, where you are, Miyokee, is where I was when I started the Budgetnista. I was unemployed, but inspired. And I was literally asking myself the same thing. Should I have a nonprofit or should I start a business? Because, well, first tell me, like, why were you thinking about starting a nonprofit? Like, what's the motivation behind potentially having a business that's a nonprofit?
So the motivation behind it is doing work that literally serves the community. And I think my heart has always been one of service and giving back to others. And I've always done that from a space of not wanting anything in return. So the heart or the focus, the mission of that business is we advocate for Black and brown people, helping them find their voice and bring wholeness to our communities. So looking at the mission and the vision statement of my particular organization, my mind was going the 501c3 route in terms of how I would be connecting to the community. But then I also came up with a few programs that I would like to run underneath that umbrella, which had me kind of battling between the two, LLC versus 501c3.
Okay. And I figured that because when I started the Budgetnista, I said, I want to be of service to my community. I was working in Newark at a childcare center in the South Ward, which you already know, that's the roughest ward. And a lot of the parents used to come to me and ask me for financial help. And I said, I wanted to do something that would serve this community, my Black and brown community. And so I thought, like the time I thought I would continue being a teacher and I would just start this nonprofit on the side. And I did a little bit of research. And I found the thing why I chose, so I'm going to share some pros and cons, but one of the so a pro of having a nonprofit is that you're more likely to get funding, and especially where you are in this like Tri-City area, that there are a lot of nonprofits to partner with, because partnership is the name of the game when you're a nonprofit. And they do so like well in this area that I have seen, and so there's funding opportunities, especially you are a Black woman. And so if you're registered as a small business, a woman-owned business, a Black-owned business, these things will also help you to attract the funding necessary, for success. And when you're a nonprofit, people are very clear about the mission being community focused. So these are some of the pros of having a nonprofit. Now, a huge con for me for having a nonprofit was I could start a nonprofit and I could be voted out. I said, hold up, wait a minute.
That board is something else.
Girl. Okay. I said, because in the beginning, you're like, whatever, your board's going to be your family and friends, right? Yep. That's what everybody does in the beginning. And, they're not going to do all that. But as you grow, which we always want to have a mindset of, well, what does it look like 5-10 years from now? And the board is not family and friends. These are community-based folks, whatever. You're essentially, a nonprofit is not really your business.
Right.
It really belongs to the people, which as long as you're okay with that, okay. But for me, it didn't sit right with me that if I built something that maybe one day I could be replaced. I was just like, I just wasn't interested in that. And I said, well, how do I build something that's for the community and still have ownership over my thing? And what I realized is that, you can do that with a mission statement, with your mission. And so the way the Budgetnista was initially, like the business model, which is still the same business model, which is that I charge the partners, but not the community. So one of my first partners was the United Way now it's the United Way of greater, like northern New Jersey, but at the time it was like Essex County or Newark or whatever. One of my first partners was the United Way, and the United Way used to pay me. And then I would go out to the community and I would say, hey, every Tuesday I have free money classes. I use social media, I use word of mouth. And it started off as 5 people. And then the next cohort was 20. And the next cohort was 50. The next cohort was like 100, And so I still got to navigate to the community of what felt like a nonprofit. But I got to, maintain my ownership. And I still, found ways to get quote unquote funding, And so for me, creating this LLC sole proprietorship was the right move, because it initially having it be a 501c3. That's what, for those of you who don't know, that's the tax kind of like code for nonprofit. So initially, that was like, that might have been a good idea, but now that the Budgetnista is 15 years old, it might be a nightmare now, because I might be fighting for my life in my company. Because all that I put in, someone could vote me out, And so, so it's really up to you to decide how you want it to go. But with an LLC, even if you're not a nonprofit, it doesn't mean that you still can't, quote unquote, get funding. There's ways to also partner with nonprofits. So for example, the reason why the United Way had that money is because they're a nonprofit. Banks, by law, have to set aside, I believe, 5% of their profit for the communities that they're in, or at least in Newark, that's how it goes, right? Mm-hmm. So there are banks in Newark who are like, we got all this money, we have to give it away. What reputable nonprofit can we give this money to? And the United Way is very reputable. It's like, so many years old. They do a lot of great work. So they gave money to the United Way and said, do something financial in the community. And the United Way said we should have financial classes. And if you take these classes, if you made a certain amount of money, they would basically almost pay you to come to class. They were like, they used to have it was called an IDA program, an individual development account, where they would match you up to $500. They would match you for every dollar you put in, they would give you $3. So if you put in $500 by the end of the program, you got back $2,000 that you could use to buy a home, start a business, or go to school. And so that money, that $2,000, came from the bank. Now the bank is not going to give it to the Budgetnista because I was for profit. But they gave it to the United Way, and the United Way was able to share some of that in paying me to teach the class. Do you see what I mean? So there's still ways to be super community focused and oriented with and maintain, the status of your company and not charge the, not charge the end user of your product or service, because also too, you have to understand that lots of nonprofits don't do the work. They facilitate the work to be done. So they're looking for a Miyokee to say, hey, we heard you're doing this great work. We want to pay you with the money we received in funding to do that work in the community on our behalf. You see what I mean?
Got it. So I think while you're speaking of that, right, what comes to my mind is differentiation, right? Yes. And I think this is something that you do really well. Knowing the community that we're from, that we live in, knowing all of the programs, right, that we have that are active just right now. What would you say is something I could do, or anybody, right? What are tips for differentiating yourself from other programs that may be doing something similar to what you're doing?
So you'd be surprised how many people ain't doing the work. Okay, Miyokee. Let me tell you, for real, you might think to yourself, like, oh gosh, there's 10 people. I promise you, if there's 10, there's probably one that is consistent. Like, people always ask, how'd you get to do this? Because I do what I said I'm going to do. Literally, in this space, in any space, very few people consistently show up. Like, for example, me and Mandy have been doing Brown Ambition for like the last 6 or 7 years. Think about how many podcasts that you like, that you listen to. You're like, what happened? They stopped taping. We've been 6 or 7 years, barely missed a week. Just by the nature of the fact that we are here every single week, that's why we're a top business podcast. Just showing up. So one, literally just showing up. Showing up. So one of the ways I differentiated myself, for example, with the United Way is, so I used to come early. So I would teach this class every Tuesday, and say class started at like 5. I got there at 4:30 to set up. Sometimes even 4, because I would just bring my laptop, do some work. So I got there early to set up. And I actually set up. Like, I went to the dollar store. I used some of the money they gave me, went to the dollar store. I got notebooks. I got pens for free from the bank. I just like, girl, I ain't paying for these pens. Pens. I got folders. And you would come in, because then I used to be a school teacher, and the whole classroom is set up, especially that first day, beautifully. So that was huge to them. Then I started in the beginning, I just was teaching. And then someone said, I would really love if I can see like the numbers and things you're going over. So I created a PowerPoint. So 1, 2, pivoting with information to deliver more. So the next cohort, I had my PowerPoint. And then someone said, it'd be really great if we had some homework. So I started to after every class, give them a little homework to bring in the next class. So every time I got a suggestion that was very helpful, I made a move on it. Too many people are slow to do anything about it, Got it. And I asked for feedback and pivoted that way. And I tracked my success. This is going to be so important, Miyokee, for you. True. So in the beginning, I had everyone, I didn't do this in the very, very for cohort, but I learned this later because I think the United Way asked me oh, how are people doing? And I'm like, oh, really well.
Data matters.
Girl, yes. That data. So literally I created a survey in the beginning. Do you have a credit? Do you know what your credit score is? What is it?
And by the end, ready.
At the end, they did the survey again.
Post-survey.
85% we saw movement in budgeting and saving. It was incredible. So that data is going to help set you apart, because a lot of people are really good at cooking. It doesn't mean that you're a chef. It's the refinement that makes you a chef. It's the survey. It's the coming early and staying late. It's the answering questions. And then something else I did was I created a Facebook group for the people who were in my classes, so I can extend it. The United Way wasn't paying me for that, right. But I wanted to extend the lesson. So if you have questions, you can ask them here. But as a result, it helped to grow my business overall. So I over-delivered always. I delivered excellence. That's just my motto, that if you're going to do it right. And so you don't actually have to do all these bells and whistles, just consistently showing up and doing a good job. Literally, you will knock out 99% of any sort of competition that you think you might have. Wow. And then also too, consider something else that would help is consider partnering. Because oftentimes, let's just say that someone does something super similar and the United Way might have $300,000 set aside. It's like, well, girl, let's do it together, and approach them and say, hey, we're 2 separate organizations. We deliver this, but we can serve more people together. And they're like, ooh, bet, the contract goes to you.
And that was just actually going to be my next question, right? Making that first ask. And I think you hit it right on the head, right? Partnering. Knowing that I know I have enough contacts in my community where I can reach out to build those partnerships, to gain contracts, to work collaboratively, right, in the efforts that I'm trying to get started while trying to build my own business. So yeah, I think that you have confirmed for me that I am on the right path. I think all the information you just gave me are things that I have been doing. But I literally was just seeking somebody to say, yes, sis, you got it. Like, yes, sis, that's it. Yes, sis, keep going. So thank you.
Well,
thank you for the confirmation today. Okay.
I love that.
Because that's exactly what I was looking for. And it's exactly what I've been praying for, right? I prayed and I said, I just need clarity. I just need an answer. Like, just give me an answer, Yahweh, and I'll be good. So this is it.
Well, here's I call your God nod. You know, that's what I call them. When you're like, wait, am I the one? And God be like, yes, you are, girl, by giving you like a little bit of encouragement. Yep. This is a big old God nod. And I'll just say this is that, like, you know, that like you should tattoo this on your notebook or whatever, that consistency will beat intensity any day. So people think like, okay, I'm going to work out today. I'm going to run 3 miles. You run 3 miles is one day and never hit the track again. But a person who literally just walks every day, that consistent walking every day is going to do more for your body than that 3 miles in one day. So go ahead.
That's crazy because whenever I pitch myself, like who I am to people and the work that I'm doing, I pitch to them the 3 pillars that I stand on: love, relatability, and consistency. Right? If I show up like that every single day, if I show up in a loving manner, if I show up being relatable to the community that I'm serving, and if I show up for them consistently, that for me has proven my success. That for me has been the path that I've walked. It's been kind of the measure I've used to determine whether or not I'm successful. So consistency, I'm telling you, the confirmation is real, right?
God
consistency is just a part of me, like one of the pillars that I stand on in the work that I do.
Hey, BA fam. Navigating any of life's challenges can make you feel unsure. You know, I know. Wouldn't it be great if we had a user manual that told us exactly how to navigate all those challenges? Unfortunately, life doesn't come with a user manual. I wish it did, y'all. A trained therapist is the next best thing. When I tell you therapy has saved my life, it has. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists, available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things aren't clicking, which is okay, you can easily switch to a new therapist at any time. It couldn't be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/brownambition. That's BetterHelp, help.com/brownambition. Honestly, get you some therapy. It is life-changing. It's everything. Can I give you one last piece of advice?
Please.
So many people, especially women, especially Black women, I knew when you said nonprofit, I knew why, because so many of us navigate from a heart of service. I want you to break the connection that service equals brokenness. That you, Miyokee, I give you permission to make money for your business, to make money for yourself, to make money for yourself, to make money for yourself, to make money for yourself.
Receive it.
Yes, because in the beginning, even when I used to give it all away. I overpaid everyone. I felt guilty. It's enough. I give you permission to make money for yourself, a lot of money for yourself, for your family, for your legacy. It does not take away from the work you do for the community. It does not take away from your heart and your kindness and your humility. It does not. I give you permission to do so. I don't want, like you to think that like, and somehow growing wealth for yourself takes away from anyone else. If anything, you add to the ability to serve and give even more, because there are little brown babies that you're going to look after that someone else might not think of, but because you got money, you got them. There are maybe politicians that you back because you're like, I love the work they do, that everybody else is like, nah, but because you got money, you got them. It might be your siblings, your mama, your dad that needs something. And you're like, oh my goodness, but because you got money, you got them. You know what I mean? Like it took me a long time to break past it. My biggest barrier was myself because I felt guilty about making money. I don't anymore because I know that from the wealth I get from my overflow.
Exactly.
You
We
know?
are
And
blessed to be a blessing. That's all I
what?
keep
That's one of
hearing.
my things. Girl,
That's
that's
what
what
I'm
you said.
hearing.
That's one of my sayings.
We are blessed to be a blessing. And I'm going to
Yes.
release this right now on your podcast because just a few days ago, I said to myself, Miyokee, you're going to be a millionaire and it's going to be okay. Like, you're going to be the first to do it, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm telling you, I'm holding on to that because I am, just like you said, right? I'm giving myself permission right now to live and live abundantly. And to serve abundantly. And the way to do that is to have the resources so that I can meet the needs of the people. So thank you so much.
Got chills. When I tell you
so
from
much.
one Black girl millionaire to one future Black girl millionaire, you got this. And I got you.
Thank you.
Hey, BA fam. We're on YouTube. Woohoo! Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel.
And while you're at it, why don't you go over to that little bell icon and just tap that for us. Show the BA fam how much you love us. And that way you'll also get notifications when new videos drop. Also, share the channel with a friend. We're always like, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. And thank y'all so much again for all the support.